Last Christmas, I worked a shift at the hospital that revealed something really disturbing. I'm a nurse at Royal Manchester Hospital. Been working there for 6 years. Christmas shifts are always tough, being away from family, but someone has to do it. Last year, I was on the night shift, December 24th into Christmas morning, working in the emergency department. It was a quiet night initially. A few drunk people with injuries, someone who'd fallen off a ladder putting up decorations, the usual festive accidents. Around 11 p.m., a woman came in. Mid-30s, well-dressed, seemed perfectly healthy. She walked up to the reception desk calmly. "I need to see a doctor," she said. "My husband is trying to poison me." The receptionist called me over. The woman's name was Jennifer Hayes. She seemed lucid, not drunk or on drugs, just genuinely frightened. "Mrs. Hayes, what makes you think your husband is poisoning you?" I asked gently. "I've been getting sick after meals for the past month," she explained. "Stomach pains, vomiting, dizziness. But only after eating food he's prepared. Never when I eat out or make my own meals. I think he's putting something in my food." "Have you confronted him about this?" "No. I'm terrified. If I'm right and he knows I suspect him, I don't know what he'll do. I told him I was going to my sister's for Christmas Eve, but I came here instead. I need someone to test my blood, see if there's poison in my system." I took her seriously. You hear about these cases, domestic situations that escalate. I brought her into a private room and called Dr. Patel, who was on duty. Dr. Patel examined her, asked detailed questions about her symptoms, when they occurred, how severe they were. Jennifer was coherent, detailed, clearly intelligent. She worked as an accountant, married for 8 years, no children. She said her husband David had been acting strangely for months, distant and cold, and she suspected he was having an affair. If he wants a divorce, why not just ask for one? I wondered aloud. "We have a life insurance policy," Jennifer said quietly. £500,000. If I die, he gets everything. If we divorce, I get half of our assets, the house, everything. He'd lose a lot of money. Dr. Patel ordered a full blood panel, toxicology screening, everything. It would take a few hours for results. Jennifer waited in the room, nervously checking her phone. Around 1 a.m., a man rushed into the emergency department. Tall, well-built, panicked expression. "My wife is missing," he said breathlessly. "Jennifer Hayes. She told me she was going to her sister's house, but her sister called me asking where she is. She never arrived. Her phone's going straight to voicemail. I'm terrified something's happened to her." The receptionist looked at me. I looked at Jennifer's room. This was her husband, David Hayes. "Sir, please calm down," the receptionist said. "Can you describe your wife?" He showed a photo on his phone. It was definitely Jennifer. "Sir, your wife is here. She's safe. She came in earlier this evening." Relief flooded his face. "Oh, thank God. Is she all right? What happened? Can I see her?" "Let me check with the doctor first," I said, buying time. I went to Dr. Patel and explained the situation. "We can't keep him from seeing her unless she specifically requests it," Dr. Patel said. "But let's tell him she's having tests done and ask him to wait. The toxicology results should be back within the hour." I went back to David. "Your wife is undergoing some medical tests. She's asked to be left undisturbed for now. If you'd like to wait, you can sit in the waiting area." His expression changed. The panic disappeared, replaced with something colder. "What kind of tests?" "I can't discuss patient details, sir. Doctor-patient confidentiality." "I'm her husband. I have a right to know. The doctor will speak with both of you once the tests are complete." He sat down in the waiting area, but I could feel his eyes on me every time I walked past. Something about him made my skin crawl. At 2:15 a.m., the toxicology results came back. Dr. Patel called me into his office, his face grave. "Arsenic," he said. "Significant levels in her blood. Not enough to kill her immediately, but consistent with small doses over an extended period. Another few weeks of this, and she'd likely have died of organ failure. It would have looked natural, like a sudden illness. My heart sank. She'd been right. Her husband was slowly poisoning her. "We need to call the police," Dr. Patel said. "This is attempted murder." He called them immediately. I went to Jennifer's room to tell her. When I explained the results, she started crying. Not hysterical crying, just quiet tears of relief and horror mixed together. "I knew it," she whispered. "I knew I wasn't imagining things. Everyone thought I was being paranoid. Even my sister thought I was being ridiculous." "You're safe now," I told her. "The police are on their way. Your husband is in the waiting room. We won't let him near you." Her face went pale. "He's here? In the hospital?" "Yes, but there are security guards. He can't get to you." 10 minutes later, I saw David stand up from his seat. He wasn't walking toward the exit. He was walking toward the staff area, toward the patient rooms, walking with purpose. I pressed the security button. 2 guards came running. David saw them and stopped. For a moment, I thought he might run, but he just stood there, staring down the corridor toward where Jennifer's room was. The police arrived 5 minutes later. They spoke to Dr. Patel, reviewed the medical evidence, then went to speak to David. He denied everything at first, said his wife was mentally unstable, making things up. But when they mentioned the arsenic in her blood, his story changed. He claimed she must have been exposed to it at work, or maybe she was taking it herself to frame him. They arrested him anyway, took him away in handcuffs while he protested his innocence. Detectives went to their house that night with Jennifer's permission, found rat poison in the garage, the kind that contains arsenic. Found evidence that David had been researching arsenic poisoning online for months. Websites about symptoms, how much was lethal, how to avoid detection. His search history was damning. They also found evidence of the affair Jennifer suspected. Text messages with another woman, talking about being together once Jennifer was out of the picture. The other woman had no idea what that meant. She thought he was getting divorced. David was charged with attempted murder. The trial was this past September. He was found guilty. Got 14 years in prison. Jennifer recovered fully once she stopped ingesting arsenic. The doctors said another month and the organ damage would have been irreversible. She'd arrived at the hospital just in time. She divorced him while he was awaiting trial. Got the house, the assets, everything. She told me later she'd visit the hospital on Christmas Eve every year to thank the staff who saved her life. What haunts me is how close it came. If Jennifer hadn't trusted her instincts, if she'd dismissed her symptoms as stress or illness, if she'd eaten one more Christmas dinner he'd prepared, she might not have survived. And David seemed so concerned when he arrived at the hospital. The worried husband, desperate to find his missing wife. If I hadn't known what I knew, I would have felt sorry for him. I would have thought he was loving and caring. That's the terrifying part. How convincing people can be. How someone can slowly poison their spouse while smiling and kissing them goodnight. How Christmas dinner, the ultimate symbol of love and family, can become a weapon. I live in a quiet street in Norwich, terraced houses. Everyone knows everyone. My neighbor Gary was a friendly guy in his 50s. Divorced, lived alone, worked as a plumber. We'd chat over the fence about football, weather, normal stuff. On December 23rd, I was in my back garden hanging some outdoor Christmas lights. It was around 4 p.m., already getting dark. Gary's house backed onto mine, just a fence between our gardens. I heard a noise from his shed. A bang, like something heavy hitting wood from inside. Then another bang, and another. Rhythmic, desperate. I stopped what I was doing and listened. The banging continued for about 30 seconds, then stopped abruptly. Probably just Gary working on something, I thought. He was always doing DIY projects in that shed. But something felt off. The banging had sounded frantic, not like someone hammering. more like someone trying to break out. I went back inside and didn't think much more about it. Boxing Day was Gary's shed day, always had been. He'd spend hours in there tinkering with stuff. Christmas Eve came. I was wrapping last-minute presents when I heard it again. That same desperate banging. But this time, I heard something else. A muffled sound, like someone trying to shout through something covering their mouth. I went to my back window and looked out. Gary's house was dark. His car wasn't in the drive. He'd mentioned he was spending Christmas with his brother in Scotland. He'd left that morning, but someone was in his shed, and they were trying to get out. I stood there for a moment, unsure what to do. Maybe he had a dog in there? But Gary didn't have a dog. Maybe he was storing something for someone else. The banging got louder, more desperate. Then I heard it clearly. A voice, muffled but definitely human. A woman's voice. "Help! Please! Someone help me!" My blood ran cold. I grabbed my phone and called 999 immediately. "There's someone trapped in my neighbor's shed," I told the operator. "They're shouting for help. The owner's away for Christmas. I think someone might be hurt." Police arrived within 10 minutes. 2 officers. I explained everything, showed them Gary's shed from my garden. They knocked on Gary's door. No answer. They tried calling him. No answer. They radioed for backup and permission to break into the property. More officers arrived. They forced open Gary's back gate and approached the shed. The banging had stopped. Everything was silent. "Police! Is anyone in there?" one officer shouted. A weak voice responded. "Yes! Please help me! I can't breathe properly!" They broke the padlock on the shed door and opened it. Inside was a woman. Early 20s, thin, dirty, terrified. She was chained to a metal bracket bolted to the wall. There was a mattress on the floor, some bottles of water, a bucket in the corner. The smell was awful. The officers got her out immediately. Ambulance came. She was dehydrated, malnourished, in shock. They wrapped her in blankets and took her to hospital. I stood in my garden watching, absolutely horrified. Gary. Normal, friendly Gary had been keeping a woman prisoner in his shed. Detectives arrived. They searched Gary's house top to bottom, found a locked room upstairs. Inside were photographs, dozens of women, some crossing streets, some in cafes, some walking to their cars, all taken secretly, all potential targets. They found the woman's belongings, her phone, her bag, her ID. Her name was Sophie Clark. She'd been missing for 3 weeks. Her face had been all over the local news. I'd seen the appeals. Her family had been desperately searching for her. She'd been right there, 20 feet from my house, for 3 weeks. The police put out an alert for Gary. He was arrested at his brother's house in Scotland that evening. Didn't resist. Didn't even seem surprised. In the interview, he confessed everything. He'd been watching Sophie for weeks, followed her routine, learned her schedule. On December 2nd, he'd grabbed her as she walked home from work after dark, bundled her into his van, drove her back to his shed, chained her up. He'd planned to keep her there indefinitely. The trip to Scotland for Christmas was always planned, but he'd left her with enough water to survive until he got back on the 27th. He said he'd done it before. 2 other women, years ago. They'd never been found. Detectives started digging up his garden and the woods behind his house. Found remains. 2 bodies. Women who'd been missing for 8 and 12 years respectively. Cases that had gone cold. Gary got 3 life sentences. The judge said he'd never be released. Sophie survived. Physically, she recovered. Mentally, I don't know. I saw her once, months later at the trial. She looked broken. Her family was with her, supporting her, but you could see the trauma in her eyes. I had to give evidence, explained what I'd heard when I'd called police. The prosecutor said if I'd waited even 1 more day, if I'd dismissed the sounds as nothing, Sophie might not have survived. Gary had left her with minimal water. She was already severely dehydrated when they found her. I sold my house 6 months later. Couldn't stay there. Every time I looked at that shed, now demolished, I thought about those 3 weeks. About how I'd been in my garden, hanging Christmas lights, wrapping presents, watching TV, while a terrified woman was chained up 20 feet away, praying someone would hear her. I'd heard the banging on the 23rd and dismissed it. If I'd called police then, she would have been freed a day earlier. That guilt eats at me. But the worst part? Gary seemed so normal. We'd had beers together, talked about his plumbing jobs. He'd helped me fix my fence once, brought my bins in when I was on holiday. I'd lived next to a serial kidnapper for 4 years and never suspected a thing. That's what terrifies me most about that Christmas. Not what I discovered, but what I'd been living next to all along without knowing. How evil can hide behind a friendly smile and small talk about the weather. I don't trust neighbors anymore. Don't chat with strangers. Every friendly person makes me wonder what they're hiding. What might be locked in their shed or basement or attic. Sophie got her life back, eventually. Got therapy, surrounded herself with family, slowly rebuilt herself. She's braver than I'll ever be. Christmas will never feel innocent again. But at least Sophie is alive to see it. Last Christmas Eve, I took a seasonal job as a night security guard at a shopping center. What I found in the storage area after closing time still keeps me awake at night. I'm 23, needed extra cash for the holidays, and the pay was decent for basically walking around an empty mall for 8 hours. The Westfield Shopping Center in Manchester hired a bunch of us for the Christmas period. More theft during the holidays, they said. Made sense. My shift was 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. The mall closed at 9 p.m. on Christmas Eve, so I'd be starting my shift while the cleaning crew was finishing up. Easy money, I thought. I arrived at 9:45 p.m. The place was massive, 3 floors, over 200 shops. My supervisor, Derek, a guy in his 50s who'd been doing this for years, showed me the routes. Stick to the main corridors, he said. Check all the fire exits are secure. Most importantly, if you see anything suspicious, radio it in. Don't try to be a hero. He showed me the security office, banks of CCTV monitors showing every angle of the mall. Another guard, Pritesh, was monitoring them. Quiet night so far, Pritesh said. Cleaners are nearly done. Should be just you walking around by 10:30. I started my first round at 10:15 p.m. The mall felt eerie when empty. All those shops dark and silent, the only sound my footsteps echoing. Christmas decorations everywhere, giant baubles hanging from the ceiling, a massive tree in the central atrium. Festive and creepy at the same time. First 2 hours were boring. I walked my route, checked doors, saw nothing unusual. Radioed in every 30 minutes like I was supposed to. Around 12:30 a.m., I was on the second floor when I heard something. A sound coming from the storage corridor. The storage areas were behind the shops, where they kept extra stock. Staff only. Should have been completely empty. It sounded like movement. Shuffling. Maybe something being dragged. I radioed Pritesh. Hearing noises from the storage corridor, second floor, near the gap. Can you check the cameras? Static, then his voice. Cameras in that section have been glitchy all week. Half of them aren't working. Want me to come up? No, I'll check it out. Probably just the heating system or something. I walked toward the storage corridor. Heavy door marked, staff only. I pushed it open. Long corridor, fluorescent lights, doors on both sides leading to individual storage rooms for different shops. The shuffling sound was clearer now. Definitely coming from down the corridor. One of the storage rooms. Security, I called out. Is someone there? The sound stopped. Complete silence. I walked slowly down the corridor, checking each door. All locked. Until I reached the one for a clothing shop called Urban Thread. The door was slightly open, light coming from inside. I pushed it open wider. Hello? The room was full of boxes, racks of clothes, the usual storage stuff. But in the corner, behind some boxes, I saw movement. Someone was there. "This is security. Come out where I can see you." A man emerged from behind the boxes. Late 30s, scruffy, wearing dirty clothes. He looked terrified. "Please don't call the police," he said. "I'm not stealing anything. I just needed somewhere warm to sleep." A homeless guy who'd hidden in the storage room before the mall closed. It happened occasionally. Derek had mentioned it during training. "Mate, you can't stay here," I said, trying to sound firm but not aggressive. "I need to escort you out." "Please," he begged. "It's Christmas Eve. Everywhere else is full. The shelters, I mean. I've got nowhere to go. Just let me stay until morning. I'll leave before anyone else arrives. Please." I felt bad for him, genuinely, but I had a job to do. "I'm sorry. I have to report this. Come with me." That's when I noticed something behind him. Another person, lying on the floor behind the boxes, not moving. "Who's that?" I asked, my hand moving to my radio. The man's expression changed. The fear disappeared, replaced with something colder. "That's none of your business." "I need to see who that is. Step aside." "I can't let you do that." He moved to block me, but I was already calling it in. "Pritesh, I need backup in urban thread storage. Second floor, I've got..." The man lunged at me. We struggled. He was stronger than he looked, desperate. He grabbed for my radio, trying to rip it off my belt. I shoved him back and ran out into the corridor. He chased me. I was faster, younger. I made it to the main mall area and kept running, shouting into the radio. "Pritesh, call the police. There's someone in the storage area, and I think there's a body." I could hear footsteps behind me, but they stopped. I turned around. The corridor was empty. He'd gone back. Pritesh's voice crackled through. "Police are on the way. Where are you?" "Ground floor near the atrium." The guy went back into the storage area. "Stay where you are. Don't go back there." The police arrived within 10 minutes. 5 officers. I explained everything, showed them to the storage corridor. They went in, told me to wait outside. 15 minutes later, they came out. One officer looked pale. "We need detectives here, now." More police arrived. Detectives, forensics, the whole lot. They sealed off the entire second floor. Wouldn't tell me anything except that I needed to give a statement. I found out later from Derek, who heard it from one of the detectives he knew. The person lying on the floor wasn't dead. Not yet. It was a woman, early 20s, bound and gagged. She'd been beaten badly, unconscious. She'd been missing for 3 days. Taken from a Christmas party in Birmingham. The man I'd found was wanted for abduction and assault. He'd been holding her in that storage room for 2 days, since December 22nd. The mall was closed Christmas Day and Boxing Day, so he would have had 4 full days before anyone found them. 4 days to do whatever he'd planned. He'd been hiding in the mall, coming out at night to use the bathrooms and steal food from the staff break room. The storage room was his base. He'd been watching the security patterns, knew which cameras were broken, knew the blind spots. When I'd interrupted him that night, he'd been moving her to a different location. Thought I might check that storage room eventually. They caught him trying to escape through a fire exit on the 3rd floor. He had a knife on him. If I'd gone into that storage room alone without radioing first, or if I'd tried to physically stop him, things could have ended very differently. The woman survived. Serious injuries, but she recovered. I read about it in the papers later. She never knew how close she came to not being found in time. I quit the security job after that night. Couldn't go back to that mall. The company offered me counseling, which I took, but it didn't help much. The thing that haunts me most is how normal it all seemed until it wasn't. I saved someone's life that Christmas Eve, but I'll never forget how easily I could have missed it completely.